we're all raised differently. But I think it's a really complicated time to be a woman right now, because not that
sing it, girlfriend.
Not that it women in the past, I'm sure we all had our challenges, I'm sure, but now I think it's a special time or difficult time because we're in the middle of that tradition. I think letting go of that tradition. Do we let it go? Do we hold on to it? What pieces do we take? I got married, and it's like, well, what does society expect from me? What do I expect from me? Am I supposed to make dinner every night? Do I believe that I should be making dinner every night for my husband, washing clothes, chores? I grew up that way, so that's all I know.
You didn't do a damn thing.
Washing clothes on the pila, though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell my brother-in-law Eric to go build a fucking pila when y'all move in your new house.
We're gonna make Mandy walk 20 miles to what's the close by river in Houston?
Well, there's
the Hudson River,
and wash clothes with that Suavitel, the one in the bag that they use in Mexico, the powder.
No, I want you to make soap out of plants and then start washing the clothes that way. All right.
Will do.
Well, let me just say something quick.
He speaks.
Speaking of woman, I think the YouTube CEO is a woman, and we're on YouTube and all that. I think she is.
YouTube CEO. I thought it was made by those two guys. The very first video on YouTube was like those two guys.
Yeah, they may be, so a lot of these big corporations,
it's probably they have like a board.
They have a board, and I'm sure the CEO. They have to appoint a CEO.
Mm-hmm. Back to my, point that I was trying to make was that we're kind of caught in the middle, we at least were raised with tradition and, especially your culture too. I think that plays a big role in it, coming from a Hispanic culture, we have our grandmas who probably kind of mean mug you if they see, your husband serving himself instead of you serving your husband, and so you kind of have that part. But then you look at society and you see society telling you like, oh, women, we need to be more like empowered, we should be working and things like that. Because I myself have been caught in the middle. Like when I tell people, for example, that I'm staying at home to take care of Nicholas, I've had a lot of people, the first thing they ask me is, when are you going back to work? Not, oh, are you staying home to take care of him? It's, when are you going back? And I have to tell them, I decided to take the year off or whatever. But kind of like, there's almost this little bit of shame too to being a stay-at-home mom now, because like, it's almost like, what? Like, I feel like it's hard to be a woman because they expect you to be like a big feminist.
It's either kind of like you're being lazy or your husband's a dick. And
well, it's either you're stuck in the old times, you're stuck in those traditional outdated ways. Get with the program, right?
Right.
Kind of things are evolving, you're still stuck in the
when you get those looks, you need to tell them, it's like, bitch, am I asking you to pay my bills?
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying I get looks, but you can just sense this like little bit of shame. Like,
the way they phrase the question, it's like, there's already like an expectation, like, when are you
going back to work? Because, like we don't stay at home anymore, but kind of like, oh, well. But then I get upset too when people would expect you to just, you stay at home. Me and mom were talking the other day and she was like, I don't get how women don't want to stay home with their kids. If they had the opportunity, why wouldn't you want to be a stay-at-home mom with your kid? And that now us women, or girls now, we're being expected to go to school, go to college. It's not a question of, are women going to go to college? It's like, yeah, you're going, kind of just like guys, like you're going to college. So you go to college and you get exposed to all these, friends, and you see like you're more independent. Women are more independent, and you're expected to like, okay, I got my degree now. Let me go to work. Why did I waste 4 years of college to not use my degree? Yeah. But then you have women
all the ladies independent, throw your hand up.
So I told mom, or it's not just mom, not that she was like saying all women should stay home, or we were just having a conversation. And I was like, it's not easy, on our sanity. Especially, I can speak from my, from my own experience of being at home for these past 8 months. I worked, for those of you who don't know, I was a teacher up until last school year in May. And I decided to stay home because I thought that was the right thing to do. If I'm having a baby,
you were teaching while you were pregnant, right?
I was teaching while I was pregnant.
Not only that, but then there's a you can get back to your point real quick, but kind of just adding on to what you're talking about right now is everybody's situation's different, right? Some women actually have, and I think yours was definitely a career. You wanted to be a teacher. You knew that. You went to school, got your bachelor's for it, were working. So that is a career. And obviously when you go back to work, if you ever, and when you go, it's obviously going to be a teacher, right? So you do have your career, but there is some women that just work like it's get out of the house and bring some extra spending money, like we call it, like for vacations, extra shit to do on the weekends, whatever. It's extra money, right? It's not a necessity to pay your bills, but everybody's situation is different, and there's some people that have a kid unexpectedly or they weren't really planning on it, and guess what? Now they have to stay home because they can't afford, because fucking daycare is expensive as hell. And then you get into the point where, like, God damn, after I pay daycare and all that shit, I'm fucking bringing home $400 a month. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not worth it. Like, I'm gonna just stay my ass home.
That's big baller money,
Right. Yeah.
So and everybody's situation is different. You ask a woman that makes $100,000 to stay home versus someone that makes 30 and now has to pay for daycare. The factors are a lot different, right? It makes sense probably for that one that's making six figures to pay $1,200 a month for a kid to go to daycare, because they're still bringing in enough money afterwards. That person, that's getting by on $30,000, they're probably going to say, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm not going to put half of my money into a daycare."
It depends on the type of work as well, right?
It depends, right? It depends, and if they still, they might, if they truly are living paycheck and need that. All the money that they can get, they're probably going to pursue it. But what I'm saying is that everybody's scenario is different.
Yeah,
but I think that might be an argument, just real quick, that those feminists make. Like, well, yeah, it wouldn't be that big of a damn problem if the government and society just accepted us in that role and paid us fair, right? Yeah. Paid us the same thing men were working. Then it wouldn't be that fallback that I'm making shit right now. Let me go back home. And just you made a cool comment that you said that you feel like there's this expectation that women are kind of either expected to go back to work or be a stay-at-home mom, that you can't win either way, right? But then the question should be like, and I agree with you, there's definitely that expectation now that, you kind of have to do both, right? Be a awesome stay-at-home mom, awesome mother, while being an awesome damn worker, right? The question is, like, should it be that way? Should there be that expectation? Who's driving this change, right? Because it is definitely changing. Go back 50 years ago, and then especially like you said, depending on what part of the damn world you're at as well. Mexico, US, 50 years ago, it wasn't as prominent, this expectation that, women have to be on both sides. It's like, well, why did that start happening? And who's driving that? And should it be happening? Right? That's really the big question. Most people will probably say, yeah, because I agree. There's nothing wrong with, for God's sake, you went to college, and I wasn't saying, hey man, why are you going to college? If you're expecting to be a stay-at-home mom, why do you even need a degree? So no, man, that's awesome that you're going to school, learning, right? Preparation, expanding your horizon, your potential. But just like Dad told you that too, he's like, hey man, it's going to be harder though. Because like Michael was saying, women at this point, the way we see it, there is that expectation that, hey man, I'm the bread maker, and if things are going awry at home, it's kind of up to the woman. Like, hey, what's going on? You're the first line of defense, really, right? And Michael's, don't let me put words in your mouth, but I'm assuming you're working out, and Anna's working, like you said.
As a woman, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I can't, just because I'm a girl, I'm not speaking for all women, because just like you're a guy, you don't speak for all guys. We all have different points of views. But for me, at least, I doubt the fact that I almost hate to say it the way I'm going to say it. I don't mean it like that, but like men, this biological, like, they're superior a little bit. And I know I probably just made a bunch of people mad by saying that. And I don't mean it that way.
Well, what are you saying, that we are or that we're not?
Like, I shouldn't have said that. I should have said that there's this difference, an obvious difference between men and women. And, and when you were going back to talking about working, how you feel men are kind of more, it's expected of y'all to kind of be the breadwinners, or like y'all have this bigger responsibility.
And it's not even just work, right? But, you're sleeping.
You get down to the evolutionary physiological, there's automatically a difference between men and women. Otherwise, you would have men and women. It can't be, men dominate here, but not here. Because then you'll get into a big debate. Right. But it's like you're asleep one night, right? Just an example. And someone fucking breaks into your house. What woman wants a guy that's going to be, babe?
That was going to be my point.
It's like me telling Anna, babe, get up, go check who it is.
Right.
But that's because you live in a more traditional household.
Yeah, but no, that should honestly be any man. And I'm going to go on record right now. If that's not the case with your man at home, you should really rethink.
And I agree with you there, right?
It's kind of like, be a man. I think as women, and again,
women can't have it both ways either, though, right?
Is my point. And again, I'm all for women. Equality that. If women are listening right now, I'm here letting you know that I know it's difficult to be a woman now. And yeah, we do deserve some rights. But to that extent, like Matthew just said, some people are going to be like, well, why can't we have our cake and eat it too? Well,
There's so many calories in the cake. Don't eat that cake.
For men too, they have issues that we can get into that later.
Shout out nothing but cakes, best cakes in fucking Houston.
But as women,
I hate that there's such a cake. I'm just throwing that out there.
I think we have to admit that most women, at least my friends and family that I know, want that guy that Michael's describing. Yeah. We want that guy that's like that manly, that I'm going to take care of you, Because what woman is out there saying like, oh no, I'd rather be like stronger than my man.
There are some out there.
There might be,
There's those radical feminists, right? Or those and I mean, fifth wave feminists, whatever they're called.
But that goes to say how they were raised, right? I mean, that's just like you were saying, we're more than
and it's weird because a lot of them come from a very traditional household,
right?
Probably where their freedom was restricted. They were very, enclosed, strict, and there's all these other factors that play into it, right? But
don't get me wrong, I even see it now, like, and I have witnessed it firsthand where you're at a party or something like that, and the dude's kind of a douchebag, right? Being an asshole, like, hey, serve me, like, goddamn, like, everyone's eating and you haven't brought my goddamn plate, and they're the wife's running around fucking chasing their 3-year-olds, like. Little kids running around and like, hey,
there's definitely extremes to both sides, right?
And it's like, come on, dude. Like,
that's not traditional. That's being like a male chauvinist.
Serve yourself, bro. And y'all seen it here. When we have barbecues,
that makes you think you're badass.
Right.
I don't have any issues with going to serve myself. Like, I know where my shit's at. Anywhere, right? And then the thing is, like, and I don't have a problem if Anna's doing something. Shit, I'll serve her, bro. There's no problem. And no,
I gotta say though, like when you come and serve her and then you get like on both knees and present it to her like it's a gift at the altar, that's a little weird, bro. I don't think that's
like you're massaging her feet.
Yeah, you're massaging her feet and like that's a little too much.
I guess our thing is like, I'm happy to serve.
I'm scared.
Like I'm happy to serve Eric his plate of dinner, but like,
are you really, Mandy? Are you really happy to do it? It brings a smile to your face to do that.
Yeah, no, but
well, now Eric's told me like, hey, fucking your sister serves me or I'm not gonna eat.
When I tell her to make me a sandwich, she better make me a damn sandwich.
She knows damn well. Before anybody gets their plate, I better have mine.
Yeah.
No, but if I can jump in just real quick, and hopefully I sound all right.
Nah, you can't, bro.
No, but it goes back to the Stone Age, man. I would say, right, would you agree that men are kind of physically dominant over women, right?
I would say yes. So I think, too, if a woman is arguing that, then
men were the ones who you think of work back then. They were actually out there,
fighting off these damn dinosaurs we were talking about.
My thing is like, just an example, and I keep cutting people off. That's my thing. Like, I'm that guy that just cuts everybody off. But you look at it, and people are gonna get pissed, and that's fine. Like it's just my opinion. Right. I'm not saying that everybody here thinks that. It's just my opinion, and it might be stupid, but it's just my opinion. Women in WNBA. Oh, we want to get paid what men get paid. We want to get LeBron money. Like, have y'all not seen the video of WNBA versus NBA? There's no way. There's no way.
But it's just
you're great.
Think of,
you're
like,
great.
You're right.
For women's basketball.
But I think that's going back to Jonathan's point. He's saying that for sure, and you go back to the Stone Age, men are definitely, there is, even if you want to say like spiritually, emotionally, there isn't a difference, right? Because it's kind of hard to prove that. But he's saying for sure there is this physiological superiority that men have over women. Men are taller, men are stronger, men can jump, run faster, jump higher. They can carry, they can do more physically strenuous activities.
I think where women get upset.
But the point goes into, and that's what's rolled over all these centuries of, human evolution and human development. But I think the argument now, especially by these feminists, I keep going back to them, and I'm generalizing that feminists, is that we're living in a society now where that we don't have to depend on male physical superiority. That shouldn't be as big as a factor as it was 500, even 100 years ago.
Right?
Yeah, we're not fucking going to war and because you now have women going into the army and stuff, right? So I think their argument is like, that's outdated. That kind of system doesn't work anymore. We got to do something because we're living in a society where we can thrive on the traits, and that, like Mandy's saying, there is a difference between a woman and a man. We can thrive. This society can not only survive, but it can thrive on these traits and qualities that are, exclusive to women, right? Yeah, that they don't have to. There doesn't have to be that distinction anymore.
But my point is, I understand that women's, rights and all that are very important. But you go back, in the past and all that, these civil rights movements, slavery and all that. People are arguing for now that's something that you can really argue for. And women today, it's kind of seem, what are you really fighting for? You want to get paid more? Is that really a problem in society, right? And it's going back to, we're stemming away from our traditional values of the traditional man, traditional wife.
Well, see,
so everything's interconnected, right?
Yeah. There was this there's this quote by this author Charles Taylor, who he writes a lot about this, society and government, political theory, feminism, and all that. And his thing is, like you were saying, you go back to slavery, they just wanted their fucking actual freedom. They don't even want to be oppressed, like being whipped every day, forced to work the fields, right? They wanted that type of freedom. But this guy, Charles Taylor, is saying now that that's one type of freedom. But then you got this other type of freedom that you can't say someone's truly free if they're not able to fully express their true potential, right? He goes, so allowing them to go become their true selves, to realize their true potential, because they're constricted in these traditional roles, right? These stereotypical traditional roles that have dominated civilizations all these years, right? So that argument, a lot of feminists use that argument to say, yeah, man, like you're not oppressing us out in the fields, but you're oppressing us in society, right? You're diminishing our true freedom. So that's their point, going back to Jonathan, like, and I agree, right? There is a difference, but their argument would be, yeah, we're not being slaves, but in a way you are oppressing us still.
I think the reason feminism, and you hear that so often now, and it's such a big thing now, because you're like, what are they fighting, or what are we fighting for? I think, just like I said, over time, not too long ago, we started kind of veering off that tradition, going more, getting a better education, higher education. And I think at some point it became like, well, there's enough of us doing this, and then we enter that workforce, or just society's kind of still trying to like tell no, the traditional way. And I say society, and a lot of times I've noticed it's our own family. That's
what I was about to say. We say society, but it's a lot closer to home. It's what you see, right? It's what you're experiencing.
Grow up, like. Because I know
society's such a broad and general thing. You're just blaming
it can be your
society.
Family,
like, fuck you guys.
You,
society.
I'm on your side.
You like, damn, what the hell?
But no, I think it goes back to, it's also misinterpreted too, right?
Yeah.
Because and guys alone too, not just women, but guys can take it the wrong way.
It's a very personal situation,
It's very black and white to a lot of people.
Yeah.
When someone says, like I said, WNBA is nothing compared to the NBA. Sue Bird might come down here and say, bitch, I'll hoop you up. You're a guy. Yeah, you can do my ass up. But and then they misinterpret it.
Once a WNBA player is selling as much jerseys as LeBron, or filling in stadiums as much as LeBron, they're not.
To that capacity, but in WNBA, there is, and that's the thing. That's people misinterpreting, because they're not on that level. And that's what I'm saying. So a woman hears me say that, like, you're not as good as guys in basketball. Sue Bird and all those, Diana Taurasi, they're gonna come ball my ass up. They're way better than any of us here.
Right.
And I'm a guy, and she'll, probably whoop my ass 15-0 in basketball.
Pathetic, bro.
But what I'm saying is that, I'm not saying all guys. I'm not saying any guy can just beat any woman. What I'm comparing is like for like, LeBron or Diana Taurasi. LeBron's gonna beat her 15-0 easily if he's playing his best. Mm-hmm. But and that doesn't necessarily say that all men are superior to women in basketball, or all women are superior as executives in the workplace. Yeah. No, there's some women that'll kick guys' ass when it comes to a certain job, right?
And there's different sectors where it's gonna, take prominence, right? Because you're talking about sports, and that definitely is, that hinges on that physical dominance of men, right? So in that, it's really hard to kind of say like, oh, equality there, because it's like, well, you're not equal, because most of these guys, if not all these guys, will outrun you, outjump you, outplay you, right? But it gets more into, like Mandy was saying, that's sort of like the society aspect of it, right? In the household, in the family, in the workforce, right? That's where I think all these people are really kind of talking about. That's where the change needs to be, because most people, NBA, WNBA, it's entertainment, right? Everybody kind of agrees that entertainment is very biased, very unfair. It doesn't go based on what's right and wrong. It's going based on what sells, So I think that would be their argument. But
if I can add on again, I feel like a lot of the times men are against, women's rights and all that, because
even if it's indirectly,
however you look at it, but in general, on average, I don't think a man likes a woman who is above him in power, right? We look at women on general. I'm not saying I do it most of the time, but you rarely see it like the woman's dominant over the man. You go to a relationship and all that. You hardly. I don't think any man really likes the woman explaining to him how things should be, right?
I think that's why feminism or just this change it's complicated for both sides, because you have girls and women who are growing up not knowing tradition before, they only see what society is showing them now. Mm-hmm. And to grow up and get an education and work hard, just as hard as you, a guy, and to know like I'm I have different people have different expectations from me just because of the fact that I'm a girl. It's like, why, but they're forgetting all these years of tradition, we're kind of like trying to throw them out the window. And we just, I think, have to understand, and I'm all for that too, change. I do. It is hard, like I said, being a woman, but I think it's also hard to be a guy because